Okay. All right. So my time at the nation's capital has come to an end. We got home late last night, and I was really sad to leave. And honestly, I'm incredibly exhausted. Over the past 2 days, I protested with the Freedom Convoy truckers and all Canadians who came out. It was a whirlwind of emotions, experienced positive emotions, experiencing some negative emotions, and I walked like over 74,000 steps in 2 days, and yeah, I'm tired. I know there's a ton of you and opinions floating around the Freedom Convoy, what it stood for, what it stands for, and a lot of my friends and family might be a little shocked of why I'd even go to something like this. And I journaled my thoughts and what I experienced, and I wanted to share them with you. Basically, my entire flight home from Ottawa, I wrote everything down that I saw, and I want to share a few things that are on my mind, why I did it, my experience, my thoughts, and what the next steps will be for me. And honestly, I have no idea how long this is going to go, so just a heads up, if you want to break this up into 2 parts, or if it gets too long for you and you just turn it off, fine, it's all good. What I'm about to share has been documented over a bunch of Facebook Lives, so please go back and you can watch them and you can see for yourselves. Like between my GoPro footage and the Facebook Live footage, I probably have like over 20 hours of footage over the 2 days. And the Facebook Live was just intended for my friends and family, but we decided to make it public, and then like had almost 2,000 people watching at one point. So I guess I became an amateur journalist. And hey, I found out journalism actually isn't that complicated. You just show up, you walk around and talk to people and film, and then you honestly talk about what you see. That's it. So last Thursday, how it all began, my social media and family chats were blowing up with links to videos of the so-called Freedom Convoy rolling through Canada. And I began researching it like as much as I could. And it was really hard to find media coverage on it right away. More on the media later. And I realized that, hey, ending vaccine mandates, I can get behind that. But then when I saw the video of thousands of Canadians in every major city rushing to the highway as the convoy rolled through, I just thought that was amazing. And so at that point, I did feel a really strong conviction, like, okay, I've been ranting about this for a year and a half, 2 years almost. I need to go to Ottawa and take part in the largest demonstration in Canadian history. Then it was sort of signed, sealed, and delivered for me when Justin Trudeau stated that these people are a small fringe minority that have unacceptable views and don't represent Canadians. And that's when I knew, okay, I have to go. I want to make it clear that our Prime Minister said those who oppose the vaccine mandate have unacceptable views and do not represent Canadians. And so for any of my friends and family who actually think, oh, hey, I don't actually really agree with vaccine mandates, I don't like that. Like, he's talking about you. He was talking about me, so I had to go. Thursday night, I called my dad. We booked flights for a red-eye flight departing Calgary at 12:05 Friday night, and then we got into Ottawa at 10:29 on Saturday. And he drove 8 hours from Spokane on Friday, then we hopped on a plane. That was probably the most last-minute thing I've ever done. So talking about the events on Saturday, we got into Ottawa and immediately took a cab. Sorry, my voice is still not recovering. I screamed so much. If you look at the videos, you'll hear me screaming all the time. I'm trying to sing and my voice is cracking. It's just a rough go right now. But we took a cab as soon as we landed in Ottawa, and we tried to get as close to Parliament as possible before the streets were all blocked off. And honestly, as soon as I got out of the cab, it was insane. I didn't really know what to expect, but we got out about a 20-minute walk, and I'll never forget the first person that I saw in a truck just waving a Canadian flag, and I was immediately just so pumped. And I just looked at that guy, and I remember just yelling, "Let's go, freedom for Canada, baby!" And we both just laughed and smiled at each other, and he just motored on doing his thing. And it was like we shared this look without really saying it. We're both kind of like, holy crap, this is actually happening. And so my dad and I, we spent 11 hours on the ground that entire day and night, and we worked our way through the crowds, and the truckers were blaring their horns parked in front of Parliament. Everyone was running up to the truckers, high-fiving, they were fist bumping. hugging, thanking the truckers for starting this movement. I guess you could describe it like it was pure chaos, but in the best possible way. And people were shouting, "End the mandates, freedom for my kids," hugging each other, high-fiving, yelling freedom. Like, honestly, the amount of positivity that was in the air was unreal. And there were families there, there were little kids, like a little 5-year-old comes up to me and fist bumps me and is going, "Freedom!" And it was amazing to see all these people gathered. And for me, I would see Canadian flags, there were Quebec flags, American flags, I saw Aboriginal flags, all were being waved, and like literally every single province and territory were represented out there, along with every race, culture, ethnicity, job class, age that Canada has to offer. Like, everything's on full display. And people were shouting, "End the mandates, freedom for my kids." They were going, it was just chaos. And I'm sorry, I'm not a very linear thinker. I tried to document notes, but I'm going to be kind of all over the place, okay? But seriously, the fact that Quebecois people and Albertans were having meaningful conversations and hugging and uniting. Like, one Quebecois guy just literally grabs my dad and is hugging him and his freedom, and it was beautiful. And I know for me growing up, I've heard about this feud between Quebec and the rest of Canada, or Western Canada. There, it was completely non-existent. And quite honestly, that has changed the way that I think about, it just changed the way my thoughts are around Quebec and just in Canada in general. And next time I hear someone make the joke of, Quebec, they just want to be their own country, I'll be like, hey, I spoke with over 120 people from Quebec, and they were all flipping awesome, and they want just basic freedom like us. We are in this together, and it was very, very unifying. I want to make it very clear. We witnessed zero violence, zero incidents. Not a single window is smashed. In fact, protesters were literally walking around picking up their trash. There were booths set up, handing out food and blankets to homeless people and to truckers. I was literally blocking someone, okay? I was standing in their way, and they said sorry to me, okay? This was truly so Canadian. The police were amazing, and were engaging in a very positive way with the public. Many people, including myself, you can look in the videos, would stop and thank the officers for keeping us safe. Some were fist bumping officers, high-fiving. A couple of people hugged the police, which that I don't think they really liked. I didn't attempt to hug a police officer. The most crazy or wild that it got where people kept shooting off fireworks in the streets, and the police didn't like that. And if that's as bad as it gets, we're doing pretty good, okay? So, yeah, there were vulgar things said about Trudeau. And forewarning, I'm going to read some of the signs here that I wrote down, and I'll just read the swears. There were signs that said, "Fuck Trudeau," or "Fuck the mandates." And all of these signs, it's not hateful rhetoric. It was honestly uniting people together, because there was a lot of people in this country that do not like Justin Trudeau. Some of the more meaningful signs that I saw, this one I really liked, was, "When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Leave my children alone. Faith over fear. Freedom for all. Freedom for my children." Those were a lot of really positive signs, and it wasn't what you're seeing in the media. And we're going to talk about that in a bit, but I just want to make that so clear that from what my eyes saw, and you can see on Facebook, it's so different than what is being portrayed. And so many people, just look at any other Facebook live stream and you'll know what I'm talking about. So as the night progressed, more and more people poured in. The streets around Parliament were jam-packed with trucks, cars, and people. Everywhere you looked, there was a mini block party, dancing, singing classics like "We're Not Gonna Take It," or the classic Convoy song, or "It's My Life." My dad and I literally wandered around, and I'm not joking, every freaking street corner we came to was packed at all 4 intersections with truckers and people. It's the middle of the night, -18, and people are out smiling, hugging, fist bumping, and truckers are relentlessly blaring their horns, and it was amazing, okay? And I can't tell you like how freaking pumped I was to be a Canadian when I can run down aisles and aisles of gridlocked truckers and cars yelling, "True North strong and free, baby," and people are smiling at me, extending their hands out their windows. Like, the emotions that I experienced were overwhelming. These people parking their trucks and their vehicles, like, there were minivans on the street. They were so committed. Like, they brought their family and their little kids and had blankets and pillows and were just sleeping in their cars. Like, it was something I have never seen ever. And another thing that I thought was pretty hilarious, while other businesses were shut down and they're like, don't serve the protesters, and they were terrified that there's going to be rioting and looting, there were a few businesses that decided to remain open to the public, like Pizza Hut. So my dad and I, we sat in the road in the cold, just eating pizza, surrounded by the chaos of horns being honked, people screaming and running around, high-fiving. It was truly just, watch the Facebook Live, but it was so amazing, okay? So during that night, we were told by a trucker that many parts of the convoy couldn't even get into Ottawa, into downtown Ottawa, and that they were blocked off. I didn't really believe the guy, but my dad and I decided to do a little amateur investigative journalism, and that's when we had the Facebook Live going and made it public, and more people were joining. And we started walking down the road away from Parliament and noticed that there was roughly like 4 kilometers of wide open road. Like, we're talking 6 lanes of trucks that could have fit, and it wouldn't have blocked any emergency service vehicles, and it was all empty, okay? So another 10 minutes or so down the road, we see a tractor parked along sideways with Ottawa police blocking the truckers, so they couldn't even advance down the road. And the truck line was just extended as far as the eye could see. And we started talking to truckers, and some were really disappointed because they thought this is a clear way for the city of Ottawa or the government to manage the numbers of the protest. And we kept walking, and we saw that the line had been extended further and further and further. And then we talked to other truckers, and they're like, this is just the first blockade. There's many more down the road. We're like 6 kilometers back. And so I was blown away. Like, I was literally seeing before my eyes what I thought was an attempt of the government to mitigate how many people are actually going to Parliament. And from what I saw, there was like 300, 400 vehicles around Parliament, which, based off the numbers of the 50,000 trucker convoy, there's a lot of trucks that still haven't been made it to Ottawa or into the downtown area. So after talking with a few other trucker families, we did ask a few, and I guess the Freedom Convoy leaders did end up mentioning that the Ottawa police actually were helpful, and they were working with the city of Ottawa to get trucks in. But the reality is the infrastructure of the city of Ottawa, just no city can handle that many trucks rolling in. So, I mean, I don't know. Regardless, it created a logistical nightmare, and that's what they wanted to do is create disruption. So I'm not really quite sure what to think of it. Like, was that the government trying to exert its power to make the convoy appear way smaller than it was? I don't know. I did go up to a police officer who was manning the roadblock, and I asked why the truckers couldn't roll through. And he did tell me, well, there's just no room ahead. If you head up there, you'll see there isn't any room for the trucks. And I was a little puzzled, and I let him know, hey, we just came from there, and it's wide open. And he said, oh, that's actually a Parliament security issue. Like, we don't have anything to do with that. And I responded with, doesn't that look like the government is trying to make the convoy or protest appear a little smaller than it is? And he was polite, and he responded with, I'm not going to get into that because I know that you're recording. So, I don't know. He was nice about it, but it made me scratch my head for sure. After that, we walked all the way back, and we were pretty exhausted. We were going off of like 2 hours of sleep. I had walked like 41,000 steps. It was time to go to bed. So overall, day 1 of the protest was peaceful, positive. It was unifying Canadians like I've never seen before. And the Ottawa police reported 0 incidents. There was 0 violent activities, nothing, okay? So day 2, that's now Friday, or not Friday, sorry, that's Sunday. We woke up around 10 a.m., put on our gear, headed back out to Parliament, and we heard there's going to be a worship service. So we wanted to check that out. And also, I am a Christian. I try to follow Jesus as best I can. We get out there at the tail end of it when the pastor is praying over Canada, and I was like, oh crap, we missed everything. But that was actually just the beginning of the rally. And first up, we had another pastor come up and preach Jesus at Parliament to the whole crowd. He called on Canada to bring God back to its principles and reminded Canadians that it was founded on principles from the Bible. And in fact, there's scripture permanently etched into the walls in Parliament. He spoke with power, and God was moving. Sure, it was a bit weird, and a language warning here, okay? It was a bit weird when he's yelling, put your hope in Jesus Christ, and the crowd is yelling, amen, and we're all chanting, Jesus, Jesus. It was beautiful, and then kind of weird how after Jesus, there'd be some random guy like, fuck Trudeau. And that was a little weird. Like, you wouldn't generally associate those two sentences together, but honestly, that did not take away from the power and the significance that the Bible and the name of Jesus Christ was praised in Parliament to a bunch of people who definitely are not all Christians. To me, that's a win. That's huge. So speaker after speaker came up, doctors, professionals, nurses, more pastors, all sharing their message rooted in the foundation of freedom. A gentleman who worked, and I wish I knew their names. I'm going to look back on the Facebook chats or the videos and find out who these people are, because they're amazing people. A gentleman who worked 15 years with the RCMP resigned because he didn't want to be forced to take the vaccine, and is now dedicated to be a spokesperson for freedom. And that's what he's about. His family was there. It was emotional. He was crying. The leader of the PPC party, they called him Mad Max. He spoke, and it was powerful. And honestly, I'm not trying to make this political or whatever, but unless there's a massive shift in the Conservative Party, I'm probably going PPC all the way. I really, really liked what he had to say. And at one moment, another pastor came up and was praising the name of Jesus, and he said a prayer for the nation, and we all came together and laid hands on those standing around us. I had my arms around just random people. Everyone was there, our arms around each other, and we were unified in spirit, praying to God. And the pastor was begging for help, crying out to God for help to heal our nation, help our prime minister, heal our people, unite our people. To me, that was the best church service I've been to in a long time. And I never felt so connected with all these people. There was no hatred in the group at all, okay? So story after story was shared. Me even talking about this does not do it justice. You just have to watch it, okay? It was so powerful and so emotional. And honestly, I was moved to tears several times. I was crying, and I looked over at the person next to me, and we're crying, okay? It was so emotional and positive. And, I'll talk about this too. One lady in particular, she was an Aboriginal lady, and it was an elder, and she spoke out, and she said, and these are her words, not mine, and she's talking about how she's seen this before, okay? She's seen the destructive power from the government mandating for her people, for the residential schools. She's seen firsthand the damage that centralized government the damage it can do, and is reminding us that the government is treading down that same road. I'm not saying that it's more serious, or I'm not saying any of that. I'm literally just talking about what she said. And mandates impacting families, jobs, and children's, this really helped me sort of connect the dots, and it resonated with me and kind of changed the way I viewed it. And perhaps it was my own, my own identity politics or something, but I don't know, it really resonated with me, and I got it, and I understood, and these are both instances of horrible display of government control. And we are in this fight together, all Canadians, Aboriginal Canadians, all provinces, all races, all cultures. And I will walk arm in arm with these people because they were amazing, all the people I met, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them in a bit. So another terrible story, okay? They talked about this little boy named Sean. I guess he's not a little boy, he was 17. He would have turned 18 on that day that we were there. He wanted to play hockey so bad, but he had to be vaxxed. He didn't want to be vaccinated, and his parents didn't want him to have it. But he was coerced. He had to. If he wanted to play hockey, he wanted to, like any kid, wanted to go to the NHL. And so he took the vaccine in secret without telling his dad because he didn't want to get in trouble. And then it was about 2 or 3 weeks later that he passed away. It was inconclusive why he died. His heart just stopped working. He died in his sleep. And the fact that he was forced to get vaccinated, which no young, healthy kid should be forced to be vaccinated, and they take it in secret and then later died, like, to me, that is evil. That is evil at work. And yes, statistically, he was one of the minute cases, a percentage-wise extremely, extremely low. But it doesn't matter. There should never be a scenario like this, ever. Okay? No, this is one of many stories. And I don't understand how stories like this are just labeled as disinformation. There is one thing, there is no one thing that is perfect and safe for everyone. Like, there are literally people who can't take ibuprofen because they will die or have a terrible reaction to it. So how can the government say that this vaccine is safe for all people? Pregnant, not pregnant. Trying to have a baby, no problem. Any age, all good. It just doesn't make sense. And I would appreciate if there was more transparency of, yeah, you know what, for some people, this really doesn't make sense and we should never force it because there are serious risks. That one really upset me. Okay, we were all crying. We sang happy birthday. It was terrible. It was so sad. Or doctors that came up and he talked about how a year and a half ago he wanted to prescribe ivermectin, but Canadian health policies wouldn't allow it. And it was labeled as horse dewormer, and it was all this FUD that was thrown at it because the only answer is get vaccinated. No other possible alternative. Just get vaccinated. And he stated he wanted to save lives. He could have saved lives. The nurse, I forget her name, but she's a nurse, but a mother first, and her name has been defamed across North America because she believed in alternative healthcare measures. I'm going to drink some water. Again, no one there denied the seriousness of COVID. Like, no one denied that there are a large group of vulnerable people. Even though it's a small percent that are very vulnerable, it's still very serious. And a lot of people died, and that's very sad. No one's denying that. It's not a hoax. But they expressed that there could have been different ways to contain this. They tried to implement different ways that kept getting shut down by the federal government. Like taking care of the vulnerable and helping them with means to isolate until they could get vaccinated. It didn't have to be entire lockdowns. And most of the people at the protest that I spoke to, like a lot of them were actually vaccinated. It wasn't anti-vax. It's just anti-vax mandate. Freedom for medical decisions with our bodies. Freedom to decide what's best for my kids. Freedom for all Canadians to not be discriminated. It was amazing to see the people behind this movement. Like, they are really, really good people. And I'm actually going to try to reach out to some because it was so amazing. This was not hateful rhetoric from what I saw. Not racist in any way. Not white supremacist. It was people uniting for freedom. And I witnessed only one troll or Antifa disturber during the rally. You can see it in the video, but a guy in camo all masked up, and he pushed his way up to the front and started talking to me and was trying to cause a small disruption. And I told him, I don't really remember what he said, but he was pushing and he's like kind of leaving and telling me that this is fake news and you guys are all crazy. I don't know what exactly, but I just politely said, hey, you know what? I couldn't be more proud to stand here with these Canadians supporting freedom. And then he just buzzed off, and that was pretty much the end of it. Okay? But to me, what was most mind-blowing about this whole event was being there live, boots on the ground, and then pulling out my phone and checking the news coverage on it. Like, first, the media didn't really even acknowledge the Freedom Convoy until it started going viral. And then it began to attempt to derail the movement by, one, making it appear that it was way smaller than it was. Two, demonizing the cause and boiling it down to radical right extremism, white supremacist movement. GoFundMe has been suspended until further investigation, which that has been verifiably, like, that's not true. And if you watch the Freedom Convoy leaders, they talk specifically about that, and it's not true. Okay? And I want to read you some of the headlines. Okay? As I'm in the event, These are the headlines that the media is saying, okay? I screenshotted every single one of them on my phone, and I'm going to just rip through them with you real quick. Some trucker convoy organizers have history of white nationalism, racism. Dear Freedom Convoy, don't expect a warm welcome from Ottawa. We're not in the mood. Far-right groups hope trucker protests will be Canada's January 6th. Trucker Convoy, experts say online talk is getting dangerous. While Canada cracks down on Indigenous and Black protesters, white supremacists get a free pass in Canada. Just look at the convoy. Freedom Convoy shows the Americanization of Canada's right. Like, as if only Americans can be proud of their country. MPs worry anti-vaxxer convoy has taken a turn for the worse. Trucker Convoy needs to lose extreme rhetoric, says association head as group reaches Toronto. We have to live with the dangerous Freedom Convoy fringe, but politicians don't have to lend them support. Canada must confront the toxic Freedom Convoy head on. Top Canadian defense officials condemn protesters dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier. Which, that one's fair. I don't like that. I don't think anyone did, but that's what they zero in on. Several investigations underway after monuments defaced during Ottawa trucker rally. Several criminal investigations underway connected with Ottawa convoy protest. Officials decry desecration of monuments during Ottawa protest. And I want to talk about that one, okay? I was there, and I saw Terry Fox, okay? They put a Canadian flag around his neck, like as a cape. They put a Team Canada hat on his head and a Canadian flag in his hand and a sign that said mandate freedom. There was no graffiti. There was no action or attempt to let's tear down the statue or behead the statue. And like, fair enough, if you don't like that, like, and you think that's bad, like whatever, I can get behind the, hey, you know what, let's just leave statues alone, okay? Dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier, I said that, yeah, I don't like that. I saw pictures of the swastika flags and the Confederate flags online. Honestly, I did not see a single flag that was like that. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but believe me, I was looking for that and I didn't see it. And again, we can all agree, Nazis are bad. Like, no one today thinks, hey, you know what, Hitler had a point. Like, that's just not even fathomable. Like, nobody there, at least 99.9% would easily agree with that. And so the actions of these like 5 individuals do not represent the million or so Canadians that have cycled through Ottawa. And yet that is all JT and the media zero in on. And so today, what the Prime Minister said, I took notes, I'll have it up here, but it's the same thing. We respect the right to protest. We abhor Nazi flags, racist flags, vandalism of war memorials. There's no place in our country for threats, violence, or hatred and racism. And like, I'm not going to read it all, but like, he literally says to the Canadians watching at home in disgust, wondering how this could happen in our capital, you are the story of the pandemic, not the convoy. Like, it's just crazy. I was there. I was talking to people, and this is what's being spewed. And here's another one, actually. This one is like very crazy. He said to politicians and to Canadians to think carefully of where you stand and who you stand with. And then he mentioned how when all this blows over, the people will remember. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, it is actually insane. But enough of that. I want to talk more about how that, like, honestly makes me feel. I feel like that is such a betrayal. And seriously, as I say this, like, my stomach actually like has a knot in it. And I knew the media like spun to fit narratives and stuff. They would like, fudge a couple of things. But this was like so undeniably clear. The media and our PM totally has an agenda. And they will do whatever it takes to make it happen, and they're lying, okay? They are literally lying. Go look at my videos and you will see. If you think I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist and you think that I, just go, please look at it and believe your eyes, okay? It does not look like what the media is portraying. And let's be clear too, like the mainstream media isn't just mistakenly getting this completely wrong. Like, they are intentionally making it wrong. They know people will believe it. No attempt to understand the truckers or the leaders of the movement. Complete and total fake news. And it's very, very real. It happens all the time. Every time I check the news, it's like they're talking about a different place. I'm like, is this happening? Like, I'm looking around. It's not happening. And in some ways, I got to be honest, like, it makes me feel extremely hopeless. Like, such a positive experience that millions of Canadians who couldn't even attend, but like the million that cycled through and the millions that were running to the highways, like so much positivity, so much love for Canada, and it just was all like completely derailed or attempted to be derailed by the media. And so these are like good people that have an informed opinion, but it's all about the things listed above. It's not true. And so I feel a very strong conviction to correct this and set the record straight. We are not, I was thinking about this, and I was talking with my dad on the flight home, and we're just processing so much. And honestly, it was an amazing trip for me and my dad to do, like lifetime memory. He's my best bud, and it was freaking awesome, okay? But we are not at war with like liberal people or people on the left, because like the vast majority of them are amazing people who I know and I love. We are at war with the media, the narrative that is controlled by either the Prime Minister or someone. I don't know, but it is so undeniably clear that there are forces at work to divide us. There is nothing anyone could say to me to change my mind on this. And I'm very serious. Like, I've experienced it. It's one thing to read it in the news and then fact check it and be like, oh, that's not true. But it's an entirely different thing to actually be there, participating, observing, having it impact your life, and then every little thing you see the media spin live. The division and polarization of people because of the media and our Prime Minister, honestly, it's heartbreaking. It is truly heartbreaking. And what's crazy is we witnessed this polarization firsthand. Check the videos. It's like one of the last ones. After the protest, when we were waiting for our Uber, and we had to walk a ways out because everything's shut down, I saw a counter protester, and he was like yelling at people to like F off, go home, or whatever. And I mean, he's a nice kid. I tried to talk to him, and I ran up to him like, hey, buddy, come here. And he's like, what do you want from me? And I'm like, are you here to support freedom? And he's like, no, I'm a counter protester. And I'm like, great. I got a Facebook Live here. You got the floor. I'd love to hear your story. And he's going off about who he is. He's lived in Ottawa for 6 years. And I'm like, hey, that's a great, beautiful city, by the way. He's like, yeah, it was, until it's getting ruined. And he's going off. And, I'm just trying to be polite and listen to him. And then another guy runs up to him and fist bumps him. Hey, thanks. Thank you for what you're doing to this counter protester. And he starts talking to us. He's like, I'm a teacher. I can't go to school. Like, my kids can't get to school. And my dad said to him, he's like, well, I mean, got to make a disruption if you want to get your point across. And then he literally looks at us and he goes, wow, it's funny what happens when white people don't get their way. And he immediately just went to race. And I tried to explain to him that all races were represented. And he responds, he cuts me off and he's like, you see, that's the classic, I'm not a racist because I have a black friend. And I was like, what the heck? And I was just reasoning with him and respected him. And, I realized we're not going to get anywhere with fiery debate. And again, the war is not with these people. This guy was probably an amazing dude. He was a teacher, father to young kids, and he's just doing what he thinks is right. And unfortunately, the media has totally fueled this divided war. And like, here we are, we just left something that was so impactful and positive in my life. And then we're talking to someone who thinks this movement is fueled by hate and white supremacy. Like, I'm like, what? It's just insane. And I even talked to him. I tried to reason with him. I was like, hey, look, you can take it or leave it, but at the end, or at the very beginning, you just went like right to race. And when I tried to explain that there were like lots of different cultures there, you just immediately cut me off and said, oh, I'm not a racist because I have a black friend. And you didn't outright call me a racist, but you totally implied I was. And can you see how that would upset me? And you don't know who I am, and you just did that. And he's like, I can understand that, and then he goes off on another argument, and I'm just like, I don't know. I fist bumped him after, and I acknowledged, hey, you know what? I have no issues with you, and you're just trying to do what's best, and we parted ways and whatever. But So my goal, like from here on out, is I'm not going to shy away from those conversations anymore. But always, no matter what, I'm going to treat them as people, because people are people, and at the end of the day, we do like similar things. We're all Canadians. We all want the same thing for our families. Excuse me. Just when my voice was like getting better, I'm just going off again. But being reasonable, and for me to extend as much patience as I can. And honestly, to love my neighbor, to be an example of God's love. And maybe if this guy's experience is very nice people, he continues to experience nice people who challenge him a bit, even if he calls you a racist, and are genuinely caring about them as a human, that's, I think, how hearts and minds can be changed. So during this movement, for the first time in such a long time, honestly, like I had hope. I had hope in Canadians and hope that we can actually change and Canada can unite. And it's already happening. Like, this is a fight that's worth fighting. Other countries, including the States, are taking a stand. I think that there's been videos, I think from Caitlin showed me, like from Brussels, like people having protests. It's like happening all over the world. And I heard there's going to be a Freedom Convoy starting in the U.S. It's going to roll across the USA. Imagine the numbers they can get there. And during my whole live Facebook stream, I had close to like 2,000 people watching live. And there was so much love and support from the States, from Canada. I even had people from like the Philippines and Ireland and New Zealand watching this. And I guess that's the benefit of being able, like on social media, a global audience. Like, it showed me that there is a desire and longing for freedom across the world. And that is very cool. That was very, very cool. I had at least 20 minimum meaningful conversations with people at the rally. And these are just regular people, like Saskatchewan farmers, Alberta businessmen, people from Brandon, Manitoba, from Kamloops, people from Quebec, Aboriginal people, Métis. There were Americans. Again, not white nationalist extremists. It's your railway worker from Saskatchewan who was laid off. Your trusty Canada Post mailman in Ontario who put in 25 years and was just laid off. A nurse with 3 children, an RN in Brampton, who literally just got laid off. Your trucker from Abbotsford. These are just regular Canadian people who just want to work and provide for their families. And so I never in my life have felt so connected to Canadians. And honestly, for like the past 6 years, Justin Trudeau just made me put my head down in embarrassment. Like, water, paper box, bottle thingies, the stuff that he would get away with, charity scandals, blackface, like all these things that he could just somehow do and get reelected. And I would just put my head down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to say, right? But after these 2 days, I'm not joking. I have never been more proud to be a Canadian and a part of the fringe minority simply demanding freedom for all people, of all cultures, all races, all people. And I think Canadians are waking up. I loved it. They were uniting and leading the charge in a demonstration that the world is witnessing and I think is going to follow. And honestly, I tell people this. I sit back, I'm like, who would have thought that it'd be the truckers who would be the spark to get the fire blazing? Like, it is absolutely beautiful. And so for a long time, honestly, like I felt kind of alone with my thoughts. My immediate family maybe, but like I felt a little isolated. Like, is there something wrong with me and my value system? Like, why is everything I value like just hard grained against the media? What am I just being rebellious because I don't like to be told what to do? Like, and going through all this, like that couldn't be further from the truth. And I've seen it. I've seen Canadians are proud people, amazing people. And my goal now is to encourage you guys that are watching live or, that watch this later, like you guys can say no too. And you're not alone. We can't consent or comply our way out of this. We have to resist. So for me, that means I'm done complying. What does that look like for me now? I wanted to share this and we'll see how this goes, but I'm saying no, with the exception of flights, because I don't want to get blacklisted. I need to fly for work and stuff like that. So, but I'm not going to wear my mask. I'm not going to show my QR code anymore. I respectfully no longer consent to these government mandates. I don't plan on going around being a jerk and it's my right and just being a total chaz or being rude to people. Like, we're all in the same boat. The server that's serving you or the person that's checking your QR code is a Canadian who is probably afraid that if they don't do this, they're going to get shut down or they're going to lose their job. Like, there is a lot of fear, and that sign, faith over fear, that we can overcome that fear. So no matter what sort of FUD or accusations come my way, I'm going to do my best to extend as much patience and grace as possible. And in other words, I guess I'm going to try and be an example showing that, hey, it's possible to have positive confrontation and disruption as long as you handle it personally well. So we'll see how this goes. It's something that is a bit nerve-wracking. I know my wife's nervous, but she's on board, and this is something that we feel is very important. We no longer consent to the illegal government mandates that are discriminating our fellow Canadians. It's done. It's not happening anymore. So I previously talked about this with other people and like kind of what would happen if mandates got so bad, and how I was really thankful because I'm a dual citizen that I could up and leave with my wife and kids, and I could go to the States. And like, seriously, I was, because my 5-year-old's not getting vaccinated. He's not. And I don't know, like, that's my hill I'm going to die on. And seriously, like, I was making contingency plans on what it'd look like if I relocated to Dallas and flew into Calgary a few times a month for work. And, or I actually agreed with people that are like, screw this, I'm leaving Canada and I'm going somewhere where I can be free. And I can honestly say that now I have no intention of that. And I am emboldened with passion for Canada and my Canadians. And honestly, I'm going to stay in the fight and fight for this great country. And seriously, I don't know, maybe I'm still like super, summer camp high from the experience, but like, I really have a passion for, I've always liked people, but seriously, a passion for Canada, for all Canadians, even the ones that think I'm crazy or don't agree with me. Like, I'm staying to fight for my kids and for my friends and my family and all Canadians. And I guess you can call that radicalized if that's what you call a person who is actually pretty passionate about freedom for every person. So that is my whole story. That was very long, but I want you to know that you're not alone. And please, 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 if you want to find out the truth, honestly, just stop watching the news. Go to the event yourself. If you have the means to get a flight to Ottawa right now, I encourage you, go and experience it. If you can't do that, go to a rally in your city, talk to the people there, and then pull your phone out in the middle of the protest and look and see what's going on, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now that I'm aware of this, like, I can't ignore it. And to me, I feel like it's almost like a sense of duty to let everyone know. And like, I'm going to be attending more protests and doing more Facebook Lives, just talking to people. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to use Caitlin's Facebook or create a new page or something, but we'll see. And you know what? You can totally disagree with me, and that's fine. I get it. I'm not looking to start a Facebook circus by any means. But yeah, for those of you that feel like you want to do something about this, message Caitlin, and she'll happily give you my phone number, and we can talk and put our heads together and stand together for freedom for all Canadians and all people. And that is my story. The last thing I want to just share is a quote, and I'm just going to pull it up here, but it was said at the rally. Let me pull it up here. Okay, so this quote, it was very, very powerful, and it actually kind of gave me goosebumps, but this was literally in Parliament in the Peace Tower. This is like, this is etched into like the walls. This is written in the walls of Parliament, okay? And it says, "Freedom is the sure possession of those alone who have the courage to defend it." And when the pastor had said that, or one of the speakers said that, that just stuck with me. And that's something that it really resonates with me, and it keeps me going. And yeah, so anyways, that's my whole story. I wanted to share it with you and just show you, hey, you know what? It's different than what the media says. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, and if you want to reach out, go ahead. Just shoot Caitlin a message. Yeah, I'll happily talk to you. I don't really have Facebook because I don't really like it. So if you want to talk or go for a coffee, happy to do it. And always, don't want to do it upside down. Let's go Canada.